Things just got very real for the Nuggets. The Valančiūnas drama is a Greek epic of Homeric proportions, but do we have a backup plan? Let's get into all that and more today on Nuggets Digest. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Stuart Hicar, Colorado native, basketball fan, and also just the most trusted man in all of amateur sports entertainment, and that's a fact. Also a fact, and this one's a little bit worrying, did you know only about 10% of you are actually subscribed to this channel? Which means almost 90% of you are missing out on some of the best gosh darn basketball analysis this side of the Continental Divide. So do yourself a favor, hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we do here at Nuggets Digest to stay up to date with your favorite Mile High team. Alrighty, what are we talking about today? Well, it has to do with Jonas Valančiūnas possibly heading to FIBA in that Euro League on the Greek team Panathinaikos, one of the two. I don't get paid to pronounce Greek words. In fact, it's all Greek to me, but it's very, very funny. But we're talking about, obviously, the drama going on with Nuggets free agency this week. They made a big deal over to Valančiūnas, and now we're not sure what is going to happen. Is he going to come to the Nuggets? It seems like he might be contractually obligated to, but let's get into all the details moving forward. So, again, why is Jokić looking so happy? Well, it's because we've had an incredible offseason so far, a great free agency, obviously picking up bench guys, a lot of depth. Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., the Cam Johnson trade, fantastic. All little pickups that I think most Nuggets fans are totally psyched about. But there was one space on the roster that we definitely needed help with that we weren't picking anyone up for, and that was a backup center. Now, if you know anything about Jokić, you know he is one of the best centers in the world, but it's not because of his defense. He's not exactly a rim protector. So I think a lot of people out there, myself included, were looking for someone, a strong somebody we could bring onto the team who could make up for some of that defensive lack, especially when Jokić isn't on the floor. Somebody who could really make those non-Jokić minutes last, give us a good opportunity and not lose the lead, which I think so many Nuggets fans are very used to seeing, is when that bench takes the floor, it's just like, all right, well, 10 points disappear over 3 minutes and Jokić has to get back in and start fighting again. But I think when they made this deal earlier this week, I thought that everyone was like, this is the best thing in the world. This rules. This is exactly who we would have want. We made an offer to Jonas Valančiūnas. I believe he was with the Kings before that. And if you remember Valančiūnas, he was a big deal originally with the Magic, and then I believe it was with the Bulls, and he's with the Kings these days. But there was a time when he was really up there in consideration for centers. His time with the Bulls in particular, I remember thinking of him as like, he's a really solid player. You know, he's not an all-star, but he is a really solid defensive center. I like his shooting. I like the way he plays. So knowing that he's a little bit older, obviously year 13 of his career or whatever it may be, and we're getting him for a bit of a steal, but it is exactly the kind of signing we need for our bench and is the exact right piece to fit in that hole of the puzzle. So I was psyched, but then this is coming from Athleta. Denver Nuggets informed Jonas Valančiūnas of intention after trade with Sacramento Kings. What intention? So the Nuggets acquired Valančiūnas, right? However, at the same time, the Greek FIBA team of Panathinaikos made an offer to Valančiūnas that essentially he would be leading the team and he would be getting a pretty solid payday. And Valančiūnas reportedly flew to Greece to hear them out and consider the offer. Now, it was Shams, I think, who was reporting on a lot of this, and the actual decision he's made is still way up in the air. Nobody knows where he's going to go with this. Nobody knows if he's going to be in Greece. Nobody knows if he's going to be in Denver. But the one big thing and why this headline is so important about the Nuggets informing him of their intentions is that technically the Nuggets and FIBA have a bit of a connection here where FIBA has to make players play out their contracts if they're already signed and taken care of in the NBA. It's just one of those, like, I don't know, housekeeping kind of things, one of those things to maintain a positive relationship so guys just don't bail on the NBA in the middle of nowhere to go get a big payout mid-season with FIBA. And so there is a question up in the air right now as to whether or not the Nuggets will let Valančiūnas go and play. You know, will they just let him leave even after they've signed this deal and taken him in this trade? Well, that's what that article is all about. They made their intentions clear to say that you're playing in Denver next year. Either you're retiring or you're playing in Denver next year. Honestly, it's a little freaky. It's a little scary. You never want to put like an ultimatum in front of a player, especially one like Valančiūnas, who I think some people were surprised when he was coming to the Nuggets because it's near the end of his career. This is probably his best chance at a ring. And for some reason, he's willing to head to Greece. I've heard that saying, better to be the head of the snake than the tail of the dragon kind of thing. But I'm like, dude, it's a ring. A ring is a ring. You don't have one. You should get one. And the Nuggets are your chance. But obviously him going to Greece and hearing this offer out means that he's at the very least interested. So let's look a little bit at his stats and also Shams reporting on this back and forth, with Greece. Insane stuff. This is from Shams via Twitter. Denver has informed Jonas Valančiūnas reps that the franchise fully intends to have him honor his contract as the Nuggets view Valančiūnas as a critical center addition to back up Nikola Jokić and play alongside him. Just as I said, obviously the Nuggets are making it clear. They've put a line in the sand. They're saying, you're playing for us. You have to honor that contract. And again, the FIBA rules back them up on this. The question is really, is there some sort of conniving back deal offer that Valančiūnas can retire in the NBA and then say, actually, I'm going to come back to the league and sign with FIBA? I'm not 100% sure. That gets into the minutia of contracts, and that's really not what this show is about. It's about hot takes and crazy stats. And speaking of crazy stats, here are some of Valančiūnas' stats just from the last year with the Kings. 10 points a game, close to 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Honestly, his field goal percentage is really, really solid. Obviously, a lot of that shooting is under the net. I really like his go-getting kind of nature on rebounds. Again, he's not their first center on that team, so these are backup stats. And again, really, really solid. This is the kind of defender and the kind of presence we need around the rim during those bench minutes. And here's the thing. Is he going to be in Greece or is he going to be in Denver? Well, if somehow he gets out of this and he makes his way to Greece, there is a backup. There is another option. And who is it except for, well, you might know him, you might love him. It is Al Horford. That's right. This man last year was shooting 9 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. These are pretty shockingly close stats, Between the two of these, obviously Valančiūnas is, I think, the better pick, unless you're talking about 3-point ability, which, if he does get any minutes with Jokić, that would be a consideration, having somebody who can shoot from outside, because Jokić is going to get you a lot of inside looks. But if Valančiūnas doesn't stick with us, I'm more than happy if we were to sign Al Horford. Obviously, he is old. He's a veteran at this point, and I think this would probably be his last season, maybe his second to last season. But I do think he has enough in the tank to give us 10 solid minutes a night with really great consistency. And that is, again, what we're looking for on the bench. So the question becomes, do we want Horford? Should we just be signing Horford right now? Should we be dealing with all this Valančiūnas stuff? Is it a good idea to give Valančiūnas an ultimatum about playing for us when, he could just blow this up. He could just retire and I think screw this whole thing up for us and then make us have to go after Horford in a different way and probably for more money. I think there's a lot of conversation online right now as to which of these two guys is our better option. If I'm being honest, I don't think either one is a bad take. I think both of these are really solid backup centers for the Nuggets and who would really increase our floor. They're not raising the ceiling, obviously, but our floor on the bench has been so low for so long that bringing on talent like this, and thank you to these two new GMs we have for making moves like this and taking risks and saying, hey, we've got the best player in the world. Why aren't we surrounding him with people who can help him get to a championship? I think both of these backup centers would do exactly that. So this Nuggets team, they have worked so hard for the past 2 years, only getting worse and worse because of brutal front office management. And now that we've had this big mix-up at the end of last season and all of these acquisitions during free agency, I genuinely think this is a serious contending year for the Denver Nuggets moving forward. And the question is, does Jonas Valančiūnas want to be a part of that or not? Hey, man, feel free to retire. Honestly, feel free to go to Greece if that's what you want. I think this team is a serious contender in the West, if not the favorite. But again, That's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you agree with my very good takes, or do you think I should be sent to Greece to get a terrible sunburn in Mykonos? Whatever. Either way, join the community and let me know down below in the comments. Hit like, hit subscribe on this video. And my name is Stuart Hicar, and this has been another perfect video, 10 out of 10. Until next time, go Nugs.